I am here today with a book report on an excellent book that I finished called Erotic Mind by Dr. Jack Morin. And some of you may still be wondering why I am seemingly perseverating on eros, sexuality, sensuality, and maybe I should just stick to psych meds, gluten, and what kind of shampoo to buy. However, I see very essential dots to connect in this reclamation journey and the promised land of a vital, embodied experience as a human seems to necessarily involve taking a good, long look at the places we would rather not even glance in the direction of. And it could be argued that the most important one of those places is our sexuality, and specifically our sexual fantasies and the themes that arise in our life that we don't necessarily have an intimate relationship with. However, we coexist with often from childhood. So I'll back up a bit and speak about what I have seen to be one of the principal points of origin when it comes to the development of victim consciousness in childhood. And that is the pitting of our child selves against our own vital force energy, our own eros. And this experience of severing and divorcing a child from his or herself is often what then leads to that child's adult vulnerability to a system that says your body is a problem that you need help managing. Your symptoms are scary, allow us to save you from you. But it begins in these very mundane ways when an infant even expresses healthy aggression, when a child or a toddler expresses curious exuberance, when there is early exploration of sexuality. This can be anything from literally screaming and jumping on the couch to exploring our bodies in public as a child. These behaviors can invite shaming and even punishment. But it also is really enacted through the ways that many parents feel entitled to so-called discipline, correct, and guide their children when it comes to their emotions. So if you are a child and you are experiencing emotions, you are expressing, you're cathecting, you are crying, maybe you're crying and screaming, and you are told you're okay, you are told calm down. Some of the programming and conditioning that is underway is really what leads to a sense that you don't actually know what you're feeling. And whatever you're experiencing is going to result in the loss of love. So we develop naturally these strategies to protect ourselves from the pain of the loss of love, the withdrawal of love, and of course, the fear of punishment. And as we move through life, we develop this ever expanding cavernous space of that which we are hiding from others and have learned to hide from others. And the challenge is that we are often also hiding this from ourselves. So that's why I like to think of experiences, whether it's chronic fatigue or depression or anxiety, as the call to prayer in devotion to you, right? And are you going to answer the call? Are you going to recognize that this is you inviting you to respond and learn about you so that an experience of completion can finally be available? And in the health reclamation journey, when we establish a foundation physiologically for our nervous systems to begin to hold high intensity experiences like shame, then we actually expand the permission field. We expand the possibility for who it is we can experience ourselves to be, because now we can at least hold the resistance to it long enough to begin to exercise curiosity. And as we begin to integrate in this way, we have the opportunity to look around our lives for the spaces and places we would rather not examine, and that we have been in active avoidance or in passive avoidance around. Some of these spaces and places are going to necessarily involve our relationship to our own sexuality and the mentation around that. So this dynamic between our minds, our bodies, and our emotions is a lot of what is explored in this book. And I'm going to pause for a second. And the author writes, in eroticism, as in life, free choice increases with consciousness. So as we invite into the light of awareness that which we formerly relegated the realms of taboo, we actually reclaim our power of choice, and specifically in dynamic with our own vital force. For some of us, and for much of our lives, the most intimacy that we actually have with our vital force is through the embodied experience of suffering. And what I mean by that is a lot of what Carolyn Elliott references through her work on the topic of existential kink is that we have a somatic experience of disappointment and of resentment, all of these victim vibration emotions. We feel something. We actually make contact with aliveness, and it can actually become something that is pleasurable, even though on a conscious level, we hate it. But your desires in life, whether they are something you're aware of, or they are covert or hidden even from your own consciousness, and your repulsion, what you hate about your life, is holding massive potential energy. So how can you begin to integrate into the light of your awareness these polarities so that you can exercise your power of choice with intentionality? And in the exploration of Eros and the ways in which this animating life force can manifest through our sexual desires, our sexual preferences, our sexual interests, we find that there is a very complex terrain that we have to expand to hold in order to even begin the conversation, right? So there are contradictions, there are paradoxes, there is shadow, there is light, there is good, and there's bad. And it's not dissolved into this like messy space. It's actually organized into specific complementarity when we are aware that all of it is there. And through the exploration of the ways in which we have kinked our pain, our childhood traumas, and our experiences of self-rejection, we have the opportunity to alchemize.